My name is Dr. Carl Matz. I'm a professor at Minnesota State University in Mankato, Minnesota. And this is the second of a three-part series on addressing the needs of adolescent learners. Typically, the problems will exist in one of or more of four areas: phonics, vocabulary, fluency, or comprehension. Now, I would say that if you have a student with a phonics problem in the middle school or secondary school, that problem is probably too intense for you to remediate in the regular classroom. That will require intense remediation from a reading specialist. So if phonics is the problem and the child at that age level is struggling with phonics, it is highly advisable to refer that child if that child is not already being referred. The spread between that child's placement and their reading ability is too great, and consequently they will not be able to be successful in reading in the classroom. As you know, as the student gets older and in higher grades, the demands of their content area reading become greater, and if their skills do not keep up, then the gap between their achievement and the achievement of the average child in the class will grow greater and greater and greater, and the greater that gap, the more frustration and the farther and farther they will fall behind. However, it is possible for the regular classroom teacher to assist when the difficulty is with vocabulary. When the child has a problem with sight vocabulary, that's something that regular teachers can work on, and one of the things I would recommend to you is you can find them online, the high-frequency word lists. High-frequency words, someone did research on this and determined that 100 words constitutes about 90% of all the words that children will need in their reading and writing between kindergarten and 8th grade. There is a list that you can get online that has those 100 words, and if you have a child read through those words and identify the words they have difficulty with, you will know precisely what words to teach them. And if you can teach them all 100 of those high-frequency words, they will be at least 90% accurate in their reading. Those words need to be sight words, however, so that they don't have to spend a lot of time and effort trying to figure out the words on the text. Now, those 90 words will not be sufficient, or the 90% will not be sufficient, because even if they can read all 90 of those words with fluency and automaticity, it means that they're still going to be making approximately one word error out of every 10 words they read, which is not satisfactory. So there is a longer list, the 200 high-frequency words, and if they can learn all 200 of those high-frequency words, they will be significantly more ready to read the text that's demanded of them in their content classes in middle school and high school. One of the things that regular classroom teachers need to do is teach specialized vocabulary. The specialized vocabulary are those vocabulary words that occur sometimes and are specific to the content areas that the child is working with. And they cannot use regular word analysis skills to figure out specialized vocabulary. For example, if you take a word like organism, which is a science word, a child might look at that word and try to break it down into its parts. Now, they know an organ is an instrument that's played in church, and an ism is a party or an organization, so like communism or Nazism or etc. So then organism must be a group of people that are in favor of using organs in church. Well, that's not at all what it is, and so that attempt to understand the word by structure would be incorrect. A word like minuend, which is a math word, if they try to break it into known parts, they see the word end at the end, and might say, okay, well, it must be something to do with an end, and the first part of that word is minute, like minute, so the end of a minute, maybe, but it's nothing of the kind. It's a math word that has to do with subtraction. In science, or geography, they might encounter a word like watershed. Now, they know what water is and they know what shed is. A shed is a building, and probably then watershed means a building where you store water, but it's not that at all. It has to do with the draining of water into creeks and rivers. So we need to directly teach, always probably before the reading, directly teach the specialized vocabulary that the children will come into contact with. If it's taught up front, then and they have a solid knowledge of high-frequency words, then it's very likely that they will be able to read with greater fluency or greater understanding. Fluency is the issue I want to talk about now, because they might know the words and they might read them correctly, but if they don't read them at a good rate and with accuracy, then it's not fluent reading. Another thing I would like to add to that rate and accuracy is inflection, because I think that fluency should include inflection, the correct pitch, pause, intonation. When a child is reading with accuracy at a good speaking rate with appropriate pitch, pause, and intonation, we know that they are not only reading the text automatically but also understanding it as they read it. A recommended rate would be 90 to 110 words per minute for the middle school, and probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 100 to 125 words per minute for oral reading at the secondary level. A little faster than normal speaking conversation, but it shows that they read fluently and with automaticity. I'm going to get the sun out of the way here. Better. Okay. Accuracy. We want our accuracy to be 98 to 99%. That would be one word in 100. One mistake in 100. Now, we talked before about high-frequency word lists. If they know the 100 high-frequency words, they know about 90% of the words they need to know, but that's one error in every 10. The ideal we're looking for is one error or less in 100. 98 to 99 would be 2 or 1 error in 100. That's a high level of fluency. The next area, and the one that I want to spend the third of these three little videos on, is comprehension. Comprehension is the soul of reading. I don't know how many times I have done assessments on students who have been referred to me by teachers who say he reads really well, but he doesn't comprehend. Well, to me that means that he's not reading really well. He's attacking the text effectively, but he's not reading. And some of the reason for that, I think, is because we expect that comprehension just naturally occurs with fluency. It does not. It needs to be directly taught. And if we can get the students reading with automaticity, recognizing words on the text, the more we can get them to do that, the more we can free up their cognitive energy so that they have cognitive energy available to comprehend. And once they have that cognitive energy available to comprehend, then we need to teach them the skills of comprehension. And that is what I will address in the third of these three videos.